Well-stocked supermarket shelves and shopping baskets filled to the brim are a luxury many of us take for granted. Despite pledges to end global hunger, the number of undernourished people continues to climb. Today, we discover localized efforts to tackle food insecurity, which affects more than 30% of the world's population. Hello and welcome to Eco India. I'm Sanuta Raghu. Increasing weather disasters fueled by climate change are making it harder to feed the world. New technologies could help boost agricultural output by making farming less dependent on weather or soil. The soilless method of hydroponics is gaining ground in Indian cities, where entrepreneurs are jumping at the opportunity to supply healthy and sustainable food.
No storms, no drought, no pouring rain. In this hydroponic farm in Delhi, there is nothing to interfere with the plant's growth. Humidity levels are kept constant, the light is perfectly adjusted, and watering is done on schedule. And instead of soil, these plants are grown in optimized nutrient solution. Chirag Goyal has been running his agricultural business in the center of the city for 2 years. Each month, he produces 2 tons of vegetables from more than 21,000 plants on 1.5 hectares using hydroponic farming.
24 degrees is the ideal temperature throughout the year. Humidity is 51% right now, which is also decent. We are controlling all the pests in this. This is a perfect environment for a plant.
The energy costs of a hydroponic farm like this are sky high, but the plants need up to 90% less water. The yields are much higher than with conventional agriculture. Experts estimate that the market for hydroponically grown fruit and vegetables will grow by more than 13% in India by 2028. That also makes the market interesting for investors. Shivendra Singh and his company consult up-and-coming entrepreneurs who want to break into the hydroponic business.
When we started initially, we came up with developing the farm. Then we realized that just developing the farm is not solving the problem. People also need help in operations. However, we provide them training, but still, they need hand-holding for a longer period of time. So the end-to-end model is wherein we develop the farm for an investor, we operate it, and we sell it into the market.
Barton Rees has been in business since 2016 and has already supported more than 40 large companies across the country. They are all located in the center of town or close by, making urban farming more accessible to customers. There's constant need for the optimization of workflows and plant production, and for automation.
Right now, I'll not be able to go much in detail, but the technologies which we are working on is one, the sensor-based technology which we are working with the government of Germany. Second, we are introducing a thermal sensor into the farm to detect the pest. Along with that, we are working on a barcode-based. Barcode is nothing new for the world, but what we are bringing in is barcode for farm to plate.
Fresh fruit and vegetables within 30 minutes. That's the promise Chirag Goyal gives to his customers. His operation is almost fully automated and it guarantees a harvest anytime. But still, businesses like his don't always have it easy in India.
First of all, India doesn't have any data in hydroponic culture, or any sort of data what people want, what produce they eat, what is the right time to grow it. Second was the pest, and government. Third, subsidy. I'm still fighting for the subsidy and I haven't received anything from the government end.
This isn't unique to him either. The central government and individual states may subsidize agricultural businesses, but hydroponic farms have so far been left out. The branch wants the aid because operating costs are high, even if the marketplace is heating up.
5 years back, when we were manufacturing the channels in which we grow the plants, they were 170 rupees a meter. And right now, because we are developing it in larger scale, the prices has come down. So one, the overall prices has come down, but still it is expensive for a small size farmer or a medium size farmer.
Rakesh Khanna, on the other hand, farms on a much smaller scale. The 72-year-old pensioner has run a hydroponic farm on his home's terrace for 2 years, for himself and his family. It's an all-in-one system for home use.
Right now I don't have that big a system with me. In these systems I can only plant 1 or 2 items or 3 items. Just now the cucumber season is over. I got around 200 cucumbers from this one system.
Rakesh paid 10,000 rupees, or about 120 euros, for this system. And he's not alone. The company Ponic Greens offers ready-made systems like this for personal use, a business that has increased by 50% since the first coronavirus lockdown.
Because of those multiple advantages, then people look at it, yes, it's easier, it's cheaper. In a way, it's cheaper because I'm not going out and getting my vegetables and I'm producing it right in my own house.
Hydroponic farming may have its advantages, but investment and energy costs are still high. Power from renewable sources could make the farms more cost-effective and environmentally friendly. Nevertheless, it will probably take some time before hydroponically grown fruit and vegetables play a significant role in feeding city dwellers.
Of course, across Asia, it's not big city startups, but mostly small-scale farmers who supply their regions with food. Their livelihoods can be wiped out by floods, fires or droughts. Funds earmarked to help farmers build resilience to such disasters can be stymied by corruption across various government levels. In Nepal, Transparency International has developed programs to address the problem.
Residents from the Kaski district bid a warm welcome to employees from Transparency International. TI Nepal has been coming here since 2020 to combat corruption and protect funds allocated to fight climate change.
The central government allocates a budget to climate change. Yet just 20% of those funds actually wind up where they're supposed to. That's what we discovered in our investigation. Instead of going towards climate change, the money is often used for meetings or seminars with politicians. A lot of funds are spent on things like that.
And that needs to change. TI Nepal regularly asks residents of Kaski how climate change is affecting them. Often the local authorities aren't even aware of their problems, so the information that's gathered here is sent to them too. That helps lend a voice to people who've previously gone unheard and gives them the courage to advocate for themselves.
Compared to men, we women are often less well educated. But we've started to address the negative consequences of corruption, as well as the effects of a lack of transparency. We've become far more interested in these issues as a result.
The forest is vital to the people of Kaski. It provides them with firewood and food for their animals. But now their very livelihood is at risk. There's been a huge landslide on the other side of the valley, and it's not the only landslide that's happened in the region. Normally, the snow-covered Annapurna Mountains would be visible, but they're shrouded in clouds. The monsoons have changed, bringing longer and heavier spells of rain.
Look here, everything is still soaked from the rain. It's been like this for 12 days. Even my house was flooded. Half the grain is ruined. It should have been harvested long ago.
Many here don't understand the cause of their growing problems and believe they're being punished by the gods.
We've seen that people don't have any idea about climate change, and even TI in Nepal, when we are starting from scratch and we're finding it so difficult to make people understand what's climate change, what's the environment, impact.
That's why the NGO asked public broadcaster Radio Nepal for help. It's produced ads that raise awareness about climate change. Torrential rains have also destroyed crops in the Chitwan district in the south of the country. The farmers try to salvage what they can. The downpours have also caused the water levels of both rivers here to rise. The rivers flood their banks several times a year, often sweeping away homes and farmland. Yet instead of shoring up riverbanks, local authorities often spend climate change funds on roads.
The local government hasn't been able to develop plans and strategies to tackle these problems, so the population suffers. People can't even supply themselves with the bare essentials.
The fishes are suffering too. Rising temperatures cause the rivers to dry up in the summer. Water quality has also deteriorated rapidly.
Look here. I didn't catch a single fish. Before, I could cast my net and get 15 or 20 of them with a single throw.
But there's reason to hope the situation will improve soon. Staff from Transparency International are working closely with the authorities to determine why funding doesn't end up where it's so badly needed. And the local government has promised to allocate more money for victims of climate change and for protective measures to combat flooding, such as buffer zones.
In every sector, each of us have played small roles in adding up to the corruption. It's not only like keeping the money in your pocket, or it's not only money laundering, but it's also about when you don't really do your duty, when you don't really know how to do your duty, then also it adds up to the corruption. So yeah.
People affected by climate change can also take action. Transparency International helps them obtain the funds that have been allocated to them. It's an important step on the long road to change.
As the global population increases, so too does its demand to dine on meat. But raising animals for food consumes enormous quantities of land, feed, energy and water. So the race is on to find substitutes. A Spanish startup has developed a cut that it says is high on taste and low on emissions.
In the kitchen of the El Santuari Gourmet restaurant north of Barcelona, chef Josep Santillas is preparing 2 steaks. But only one is a piece of real meat. The one on the right is an imitation.
This is a normal cut of veal, while the other came from a 3D printer. You'd hardly believe it's vegetarian. The texture is almost exactly the same as that of meat.
A steak fresh from the printer. It's no longer science fiction. We find out how it tastes later. It's the creation of biomedical engineer Giuseppe Scianti. His startup, Nova Meat, has developed the first steak from vegetable protein to be 3D printed. It's thoroughly vegan, with the look and feel of a real steak.
There are many alternatives on the market, but they're imitations. They imitate processed meat such as hamburgers, meatballs, or sausages. What we haven't had before is a steak with the texture of beef or pork. It's the first of its kind worldwide.
This steak is made of powdered rice and pea protein, algae fiber, and red beet juice for coloring. The printer's job is to press the raw mixture into thin fibers. The device is still a prototype. It takes 20 to 40 minutes to print out one steak.
First, we feed a three-dimensional image into the printer. It's very complex. It simulates the internal and external structure of the cut of meat we'd like to imitate.
Meat substitutes have enjoyed growing popularity for years. Besides the veggie burgers and vegan sausages, startups the world over are working on artificial cuts that look and taste like the real thing. The MeatTech 3D company in Israel has developed a biotechnological process for printing layers of meat from animal stem cells. These grow in incubators to become steaks. The American Eat Just company cultures lab-grown chicken in special bioreactors on the basis of cells from live birds. They make chicken nuggets without slaughtering a single animal. But can the imitations really measure up to conventional meat?
On one hand, what we're developing here ought to be as good as if you were eating real meat. On the other hand, it should be as sustainable as plant proteins.
Lecturers and students at the Culinary Institute of Barcelona have also been investigating the vegan 3D steak. Among other things, they research sustainable food technologies. The younger generation is especially receptive to alternatives to traditional meat products.
We're going to experience a coexistence of different forms of production. I don't think meat will disappear just because alternatives are available, but the consumption of other sources of protein and products will grow in popularity.
In order to optimize the taste of his steak, Giuseppe Scianti regularly visits the El Santuari restaurant. Head chef Josep Santillas is an expert on fine meat, including Japanese Kobe beef, as well as exotic varieties like kangaroo and crocodile meat. In the restaurant's kitchen, the two test the progress of the 3D printed steak and compare it to the animal-sourced original.
I think we'll soon have it. With the help of an expert like Giuseppe, we will find the right moment for a test run. In a month or two, we'll be offering something far better than the meat substitute you currently find in restaurants.
And very soon, Giuseppe Scianti plans to put his vegan steak into production and offer it to a wider public.
Pollution and warming seas are depleting fish stocks around the world. That's threatening the global supply of seafood and the livelihood of people working in small-scale fisheries. In South Africa, artisanal fishermen have found help in the shape of an app. It connects them directly to end consumers and has put a sustainable catch on the menu.
5:30 in the morning at the port of Cape Town. While most of the city still sleeps, skipper Geoffrey Fraser and his crew prepare to put out to sea. The 10-member crew are going handline fishing for Cape Bream. They're hoping for a good catch today.
Totally depends on the weather outside. And also the patience of the skipper. You know, if you haven't got a good skipper, you're not going to catch nothing.
There might be some truth in that, but it's a little fishy to lay all the blame on the skipper. Conditions for artisanal commercial fishing on the Cape have grown tougher over the years.
Possibly climate change, overfishing of the baits, change of current, Yeah, plenty reasons I can give you.
They also struggle with fishing quotas and market access. A few kilometres away from the port, local fishers are demonstrating in front of the National Parliament in Cape Town. They're demanding fairer quotas. They say it's hard enough for them to make a living as it is.
Our livelihoods are in danger. The government is giving the quotas and the inheritance to big companies, but we as the small people, we as the people on the ground that is making a living out of the sea, we don't get anything.
Jeffrey Fraser wants to improve conditions for his crew and has found the solution in the Abalobi app. Abalobi, which means someone who fishes in a local language, connects small-scale fishers directly with consumers. Daniel Smith helped found the app and the NGO of the same name, which began as a University of Cape Town research project in 2017.
Here in South Africa and around the world, small-scale fishers have been excluded and struggle for access to markets. Abalobi came about recognizing that there was this need, and there's an opportunity to then connect these small-scale fishers digitally to markets and for them to be able to access and own their own data.
In practice, this means Jeffrey Fraser and his crew can sell their daily catch to restaurants and private customers directly through the Abalobi app, cutting out the middlemen.
The Abalobi is quite a good help for us, that we know what we're going for and what we're catching, and the price is much better than we get from the local buyers. So for us it's a big help.
Crew member Reggie Schwenk says middlemen only pay fishers roughly €1 a kilo for Cape bream. On Abalobi, the crew can net over 3 times that. That means they can generate the same revenue with a smaller catch.
Rudy and me, stand up.
Another benefit is that Abalobi has created a market for local species like Cape bream, long considered a poor people's fish.
Abalobi is changing the perspective of people on Cape bream. So they've put it into upmarket restaurants, and upmarket clientele have eaten it and they've enjoyed it. So they're changing the perception of the value of that species of fish.
Local species in sustainable quantities instead of industrial scale fishing. The day's catch is logged into the app.
The weight was 112 and the number caught was 357.
Abalobi is financed through donations and outside funding. The NGO behind the app helps the fishers with infrastructure and logistics. Catches go by refrigerated truck to decentralized refrigerated storage facilities. Short hauls help reduce the carbon footprint. Abalobi employee Han Goliath confirms the weight of the catch. He comes from a fishing family and wants to help his community.
I'm a fisher and I want to remain a fisher. So irrespective of what part of fishing I do, I think for as long as I'm active in the fishing industry, what Abalobi do is to just assist us with the process between after we catch the fish and the end consumer, which is a challenge for generations long.
And that's exactly what happens. The catches from Jeffrey Fraser's boat and other Abalobi fishers go online and become available to customers on the app's marketplace page. Chef Neil Swart is co-owner of a restaurant in Cape Town. He's one of over 400 chefs and 8,000 private customers registered as buyers on Abalobi. Last night, the chef placed an order on the app. This morning, Han Goliath delivers it, 5 kilos of Cape bream.
The proof is in the pudding, or the fresh fish for that matter. Like the quality of the fish we got is just, that's something we haven't worked with before.
With the app's QR code, the restaurant owner and his guests can trace exactly where a fish comes from, the fish's name, the species, and where it was caught.
There's Jeffrey. I love knowing where the money is going. So I love knowing that the money is going to the fishermen and not some massive company who's just abusing the sea. And the customers also enjoy hearing that the money they spend here by us goes directly to the fishermen, and we can see exactly how much they get.
Since its debut, Abalobi has put more than 500,000 euros directly into the pockets of struggling fishers. Similar projects are already up and running in other countries, all aimed at preserving fish stocks and ensuring local fishers get a living wage.
Abalobi shows us that making the source of our food sustainable has a trickle-down effect right up until the end consumer. Strengthening and investing in these foundational systems is the need of the hour today. We'll be back next week with more stories that help you navigate your relationship with the planet. Until then, from all of us in India and Germany, goodbye and thanks for watching.